It's about damn time someone has a good take around here. Big Deke News. We're starting today's show off with the best take that I've heard in a minute.
Ben was the old school guy, huh?
One of the best, brother. One of the best. In the big game, the big games, I'll take him over all of them.
He's just a dog, right?
Total.
Take him over all of them, Bruce?
All of them,
Bruce?
In the big game.
Bruce, all
You
of
heard
them?
what he said. You all heard what he said.
We did. I heard
He's the only one that I've had that had to go 92 yards to win the Super Bowl.
That's fair.
And
he won. And Hines shouldn't have been in the game. His knee was gone. Mm-hmm. Nate had a separated shoulder. He only had two guys that could catch, Santonio and Heath. And, of course, he kept feeding Tone.
absolutely. One of the greatest catches in the history of football.
Yeah. But the throw was better. Ben should have been MVP.
Just such a good take. I wish I had it. Oh, wait. I've had this take. I've been saying this shit for years, but have gotten mocked for it. What other quarterback is capable of winning the Super Bowl with the worst offensive line in the league? Not Brady. Not Mahomes. Not Breeze. Not Manning. Not Rodgers. Not only did Seven have to pull off that 2-minute drive and the highest stakes scenario of it being a Super Bowl, game on the line, you got 2 minutes, you're down, go win the game. But he had to overcome our own team and our own offensive line in that same sequence, because not only do we have to go pretty much the length of the field, but on the first 2 plays of that drive, our offensive line is screwing everything up. We get a holding first play, then we get backed up even more, so it's now 1st and 20 instead of just 1st and 10. And then on that 1st and 20 play, Big Ben almost gets sacked for a safety because the offensive line is just letting the Cardinals rushers come through like it's nothing. But Big Ben dodges the rush, shakes him off, gets things going in a positive direction finally for that drive. And then, obviously, the rest is history. But that all had to take place because our number 1 ranked defense gave up a touchdown and got gashed by Kurt Warner and Larry Fitzgerald late in the 4th quarter to enable the Cardinals to go up. So, you tell me who the most valuable player is or was in that Super Bowl. You tell me. Credit to Santonio Holmes. Obviously, credit to James Harrison for the historic play. But come on. I just broke it down for you right there. But I digress. Let's get back to the present day because Steelers-Jets, Week 1 is fast approaching. And we know this is a storyline game. This is a revenge game for both sides. You have Justin Fields facing off against his former team, Rodgers facing off against his former team. But in their press conferences yesterday, both Justin Fields and Mike Tomlin let us in behind the scenes a little bit, took us behind the curtain on what went into the decision-making process for both the Steelers and Fields to ultimately part ways this offseason.
In the end, Mike, how hard was it to walk away from the idea of Justin Fields as the quarterback this year?
It's free agency. It was not only our decision, it was his decision. And so it was mutual. There's a lot of moving parts in free agency. And so I wouldn't present it in the manner in which you asked it.
Did you consider going back there, or was it, you knew these guys were interested? How did that all work out?
Yeah, I considered it.
And what made this the right place for you?
Like I said, AG, playing against him for the past, first few years of my career in the league, and, just excited to change the culture here and get things going. So I think that was kind of the most appealing thing to me.
So I think basically what we knew all along is the truth here. The Steelers, they were interested, but they weren't that interested. They threw Fields the loose offer because we did offer him something, but it wasn't up to what Fields thought his market was and what the Jets actually offered him. And the Jets pursued Fields. They let him know that they were serious. They let him know that they were really interested in him being a catalyst for their franchise. Now, with that being said, I still feel like Fields made the wrong decision. The Steelers' offer was still better. Fields just, he liked the extra attention that the Jets were giving him. If you're going to go on a 1 to 10 scale, like a looks rating thing, Steelers, we're an 8, we're a 9, we're closer to a 10 than not in terms of organization structure, knowing what we're doing, know how to stay relevant, consistent, all that stuff, right? Whereas the Jets, out of 10, less than 5 easily, right? Less than 5. But the Jets were giving Fields that extra attention, and Fields was liking that, whereas the Steelers knew where they stood. They were like, you know what, this is our offer. We are interested, maybe not to the degree that you would like, where we're selling our house, we're going all in for you, but we're going to make you an offer. We may still draft a quarterback. We're not 100% dead set on you being the future franchise, but we're going to give you a chance. Fields took that extra attention. He took the extra pursuit of the Jets. I don't think it was the best decision for Fields, but I think both sides are in a good spot. Or at least the Steelers. I think the Steelers are happy with where they're at. Obviously, the Jets and Fields are right now, but if I'm going to go off of history, it's not going to go well for Fields with the Jets. It's just never going to go well for the Jets, no matter who they bring in. Ask Aaron Rodgers.
That was an interesting 2 years, to say the least.
I mean, Fields in the Jets jersey with the number 7, like that doesn't even look right. Like that doesn't even look like it's supposed to work. But anyway, speaking of Rodgers and his former team, Steelers announced their captains recently, and Rodgers was one of them, alongside, interestingly enough, Cam Hayward. You can't have the captain sitting out week 1, right? You got to lose that captain privilege if you're sitting out week 1. I don't think he is. We talked about this yesterday. But also T.J. Watt and Miles Killebrew. Some people, it seemed like we're a little surprised that Rodgers was named captain because of his shortened offseason with the team and, you know, all the stuff that took place before him signing here and how patient the Steelers had to be and how it was this long, drawn-out process. Yeah, that's a stretch. It would be a bigger storyline if Rodgers wasn't named the captain because it's Aaron Rodgers and he plays the quarterback position. I think the last 3 or 4 quarterbacks, the guys after Ben who were starters going into the regular season were all named captain. And I think it's just the default. The quarterback is naturally a leader. A quarterback is going to be, the starting quarterback is going to be named captain unless you're a rookie coming into it. You know what I mean? That type of thing. But yeah, Mitch to Kenny to Russ, they were all named captains whenever they were here, going into their first season as a Steeler. So there's no reason why Rodgers wouldn't have been named captain, especially, too, with everything pointing in a positive direction with how Rodgers and the Steelers and his teammates are all meshing together. Like, those are the only stories we have heard this whole offseason. Outside of Rodgers maybe being hard on a teammate here or there over running a wrong route, but that's just tough love. And then the latest example we heard from DeShon Elliott, who was a guy that didn't want Rodgers based off how he responded to an Instagram post that suggested Rodgers could join the Steelers, where he said, you know, leave his ass in the retirement home. He has completely flipped the switch. After getting to know Rodgers and spend training camp and being in Latrobe with him, here's what he has to say now.
And DeShon, you called him old and you didn't want him.
Yeah, I did. I did say that.
How has that changed?
You know, anyone knows me. I usually speak my mind very openly. A lot of times I'm not wrong, right? This time I was wrong. Great. Being real. Look, I always say things that people know is right, probably just shouldn't be said, right? But he's proven me wrong fully. Great person, great football player. I mean, everyone knows he's a great football player. You know, he's a Hall of Fame player. But the way he's made it easy for everybody to welcome him with open arms. When he walked to the building, he instantly we had that meeting, and he was like, hey, bro, I understand I was probably the distraction at the time, but I'm here. I'm locked in with you guys. So I appreciate him for doing that. And I can just tell, like, he's very himself. And I appreciate somebody who's always going to be himself. I respect him as a man. We talk all the time.
And it's not even just the off-the-field vibes that Rodgers is enhancing. According to Patrick Queen, he's making the defense even better.
High IQ guy. The no-looks are starting to piss me off a little bit.
My God.
But he's just smart. He's calling out our plays. He's talking about our plays as he's doing the play calls for the O-line, for the wide receivers. It's just a whole bunch of stuff that goes on. But you definitely get a good look. Like, he's gonna test your drops. He's gonna test your man coverage. Just like I said, the guy been doing this for a long time. He got a high IQ. So being able to go against that when you go against somebody else that's not as high IQ or experienced as him, I think it's gonna pay off for us big.
Guys, I've been saying it. Don't be surprised if Rodgers is in the MVP conversation this year. He had 28 touchdowns. He had, almost 4,000 passing yards with the Jets while he was still a little rusty from the Achilles injury. And he was dealing with injuries throughout the course of the season, too. He got banged up. He definitely got banged up. He was dealing with, I think Mark Schlereth was talking about it on his podcast. He was dealing with a couple different things. Yet he still got better as the season went on and ultimately had the stats that he did where he ended up in both top 10 passing yards and passing touchdowns. But now he's with the Steelers, and we just talked about that with Justin Fields. Steelers organization versus the Jets organization, there's levels to this. And he should only be more healthy coming off of that Achilles. Add to the fact that he's got weapons on offense. Our offensive line should be peaking. Really should. It should finally hit that top 10-ish level. Fingers crossed with Broderick Jones, but he is coming off of a strong preseason. I get it's preseason. Take it for what you will. But we've made a lot of investments in this offensive line, and hopefully it finally does come to full fruition. Rodgers got the weapons, got the running backs, DK Metcalf, got the Jonnu Smith, the speedy receivers, and then the defense as well. That's another thing. Our defense is legitimately being projected to be a top 5 unit. Madden ranked us number 1. So this isn't pie in the sky thinking. This isn't Homer talk. When you look at that formula, Aaron Rodgers, all-time great. Weapons on offense. Protection, hopefully, but there's reason for optimism. And a really good defense. I mean, that's a contender right there. You're talking about winning the division. You're talking about going deep in the playoffs with that blueprint, with that formula. And let's not act like, I brought this up in the past, let's not act like this hasn't been completed to success recently by other organizations and other teams. By piecemealing it together, going all in for a season or two. Thinking more short-term than long-term, I guess. But that's the beauty of what the Steelers did this offseason. We also have good flexibility for the long-term. But we are all in for 2025. The Rams and the Bucs did that. The Rams and the Bucs did that recently. That is within the last 5 or 6 years. We're not talking about a random team that pulled it off and got lucky 25 years ago by trying to do this formula. No, this is recently. How the Rams operated and they won their Super Bowl, and how the Bucs operated and won their Super Bowl. Went all in. Got a quarterback, surrounded them with talent on offense, had stars on defense, and got it done. So again, let's not act like this is some crazy thing where Rodgers can't be in the MVP conversation and the Steelers can't be in serious contention for not only the AFC North, but for the AFC and ultimately the Super Bowl. And Brady even talked about it. I just brought up the Bucs and Brady's team, but Brady mentioned it too. He just did a podcast with Chris Collinsworth, the PFF podcast or something. And he talked about Aaron Rodgers. Not only did he talk about Rodgers in the past and the arm talent, but also what he expects from Rodgers this season with the Steelers.
I think what I've always appreciated about him, what everybody does, is his ability to throw a football and pass it. It's in Aaron in his prime, to me, is the greatest passer of the football the league's ever seen. He could get the ball from point A to B faster and more accurate than any player, I think, in the history of the NFL. The ability, when you get older, you got to figure out other ways to succeed because you don't have the same 2011 version of Aaron Rodgers. And sometimes when you go through tough times like he did at the Jets, you get reinvigorated by going to another organization like the Steelers that has had so much consistency in their success. And that could allow Aaron, to achieve what he hopes, to go out on the highest of possible notes. So I get to cover them. I'm sure you get to cover them a little bit. Yeah. It'd be my first time covering Aaron from a broadcaster and sitting up in the booth. But I'm really excited to see what he does this year.
I think we'll end it there for today's show. I think we covered everything we needed to. We got good Big Ben takes. We got some Fields, Steelers drama alongside Rodgers, Jets that we mentioned with, week 1. Coming up here, I think we hit on everything we needed to. So let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Hope you guys enjoyed. Stay chilling. Peace.